President Obama stumps in Stamford, campaigning in Connecticut for the man in the middle of a very tight Senate race. Earlier tonight, Attorney General Richard Blumenthal and a large crowd gathered at the Stamford Marriott. They welcomed President Obama. The pair together to raise money for Blumenthal's campaign to beat Republican Linda McMahon. Earlier today,
I understand she has promised a smackdown. That is what she said. And look, there's no doubt I can see how somebody who's been in professional wrestling would think that they're right at home at the United States Senate if they were watching some of the behavior that's been going on. But the truth is, and Dick understands this, public service is not a game. Here you've got a man who's been fighting for the people of Connecticut since the day he walked into the Attorney General's office. He's got the record to prove it. At this moment, we are facing challenges we haven't seen since the Great Depression. And facing serious challenges requires serious leaders. Leaders who are willing to take on the status quo, leaders who are willing to take on special interests, leaders who are willing to fight for our people and our future. And Dick Blumenthal is that leader.
Protesters were also out in force tonight, rallying against the president's policies. Fox Connecticut's Narmeen Chaudhry has that side of the story.
While there was a lot of action inside, outside there was as well. Tea Party ralliers gathered from around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They hoped to get the president's attention when he rolled in his motorcade. However, the weather wasn't exactly cooperating with them today. The pouring rain was no match for Tea Party ralliers in Stamford today. Earlier, when it was a bit drier out, at least 100 of them chanted and held up their signs, all waiting for President Barack Obama.
This administration is ripping the guts out of the free market system, taking over the country like a seizure of power, and the people don't matter any longer.
The president's trip to Connecticut had a clear motive to help the Democratic Party in the state, but also throw in his support for Richard Blumenthal, who, as we all know, is fighting for the U.S. Senate seat being vacated by Chris Dodd. Recent poll numbers have shown Blumenthal losing the comfortable edge he once had over his opponent, Linda McMahon. Now the question is whether or not the president's support will help Blumenthal in the end.
I think it'll hurt him. I think if you go down New Jersey, Massachusetts, Virginia, everywhere that he's been in the last 18 months campaigning for people, they've lost.
I like Dick Blumenthal. I really do. I've written to him a few times and got a really good response, and I like how he worked for the people here in Connecticut.
Some, like Kendria Lawson, says she wanted to come out so that the president could perhaps see her face, the face of an unemployed woman who has struggled for the past 2 years. Others, regardless of political affiliation, wanted to catch a glimpse of the man holding the most powerful position in our country.
I just want to come out to see the president. You know, I just think he's a great man. He's doing a good job. And I believe that if we give him time, he will be able to solve the problem.
After the president stumping here in Stamford, his fundraising efforts continued at a private residence in Greenwich, Connecticut. In Stamford, I'm Narmeen Chaudhry, Fox, Connecticut.
Tickets to tonight's dinner cost $30,000 a plate. Earlier, supporters paid more than $12,000 for a picture with the president. Now, with all that money flying around, Fox Connecticut's John Charlton had a question.
Blumenthal, you're talking about affordability for the middle class, as stated in the beginning. How can people at home take that seriously when the event tonight costs $1,000 a plate, a picture with the president, $12,400, and then later a $30,000 plate at a private party? How can you tell people at home when you're talking about affordability that this is going on?
You know, a lot of the wealthiest people in this country agree with me that we should extend those tax cuts for middle-class families that are struggling and need more money in their pockets so they can help revive the economy. They agree with me that the Clinton levels of taxes were pretty good for our economy and pretty good for them, and that the Bush trickle-down economics has been totally discredited.
But I'm talking about the exorbitant amounts for tonight's events.
Well, they're supporting me, and they know where I stand on this issue.
Blumenthal's opponent, Linda McMahon, released this statement on the president's visit. I suppose it's no surprise that after avoiding voters for months, Dick Blumenthal is keeping his high-dollar Washington-style fundraiser with the president hidden from voters. Having spent 4 decades as a career political insider, Blumenthal is now trying to run from Washington, but he is cozying up to Washington and special interests behind closed doors to seek their seal of approval. Connecticut's newsroom has the first look tonight inside Lady Gaga's concert in Hartford. The pop megastar rocked a sold-out crowd at the XL Center tonight. Current photographer Bettina Hansen had a front-row seat to the show. The platinum-selling performer sold out in just minutes, and tonight